Hi, everybody, and welcome to Cope with Hope. Today, I'm interviewing Matthew Massy-Westropp, my cousin's husband. He lives in Australia, Adelaide, and he's recently become the client service manager of the Motor Neuron Disease Association after working for many years with the government. Matthew is a keen gardener, a fantastic cook. When I was in Adelaide, he fed us the most amazing food, and I can never forget his wonderful dessert, Lemon Delight. So thank you so much, Matthew, for agreeing to chat with me for Cope with Hope.
Well, pleasure is all mine. It's
Yeah.
fabulous and just lovely to keep in touch with people on the other side of the world like this. It's brilliant.
Yes. And because he can't come to India now, he makes do with cooking dum biryani, right?
Yeah, that's right.
And dosa.
That's one of the things. Yeah, dosa as well. I try and do north and south as much as I can, just by some of the dishes I cook. So
lovely.
yeah,
And he's a fantastic cook.
Oh, thank you. Well, it's been one of my loves actually, cooking. Before I started my professional career as an occupational therapist many years ago, I actually worked in the food and wine industry in Australia for about 6 or 7 years and learnt to cook at that stage and learnt a lot of those sort of basic techniques in the kitchen that allow you to then explore lots of different cuisines and that sort of thing. And I must say that cooking Indian food is my absolute love.
Oh. And you take fantastic photographs as well.
Oh, well, thank you. Yeah. I was just reflecting recently, Nandinii, that because prior to starting this new job after leaving government after 23 years, I was seriously considering retiring. But then I got a bit worried. I thought, what am I going to do? I mean, I've been a busy person for so long. But then I just was thinking the other day, actually, I've got a few hobbies and interests and things I enjoy doing with my spare time. So I'm just trying to get a balance. A balance between my work, which I still love, and a new job, which is always exciting, as you know, and in your industry, you're always in new jobs. But balancing that with some time for my own interests. So I'm only working 4 days a week in this new job. And I said, I needed to work part-time after 30 years, full-time work.
So what exactly does client service, what do you cover?
Well, look, the association, it's a small association simply because our population in South Australia is reasonably small. We're less than 2 million people in the whole state. So motor neuron disease has an amazing similarity prevalence worldwide. So in our state at any one time, there's about 150, 160 people with motor neuron disease, because unfortunately it's a reasonably rapid disease and has a pathway that is very difficult for people. And so we work with 150, 160 people at any one time who are really struggling, and we provide support services such as information and advice, education about their options. We provide support coordination. So we have some very complicated health systems in our country, and we try and help a person who's never experienced an illness in many cases try and navigate that. And then we also employ occupational therapists to work with people in their homes, because most people want to stay at home with their family as long as they possibly can. And we suggest simple adaptations like equipment or little modifications to the home to make it safe. And then we also provide an equipment service as well. And you might recall that my previous role in government was about running a state government equipment service, so helping people who are coming out of the health systems or in aged care, wanting to stay at home again. So all community-based. And so all these services we provide people with motor neuron disease. We're not government funded. So we do a lot of fundraising and events to raise money. We get a little bit of funding out of the National Disability system here. But we've got a walk on the 2nd of May where we invite people to register and walk to try and raise money. And we have more than 1,000 people normally walk each year. And so that's coming up. And then we have other events through the year as well.
Okay. So basically you coordinate the equipment, the therapists.
That's right. That's right. So
what
I
about
really
families around the patient? Does somebody sit and talk to them and work with them?
Yeah, absolutely. So our mission is to support the person with the disease as well as their family and also their friendship circle. Because people are at high risk with these type of diseases of losing touch with friends, because unfortunately it affects communication on commonly as well. So it affects the way that people can speak. So many people lose touch with people. So we try and work with their families and friends as much as the individual themselves. Yeah, so it's a very privileged role that I have, and because we're working with people who really are going through a very tough time in their lives, and it's special, and making a little bit of difference. It's great.
Yes,
if we can
making
do that.
A lot of difference.
Yeah.
You're providing a lot of kindness, One of the biggest fears when you fall sick is not to have people around you.
Yes.
And to provide that support is like very kind indeed.
Yeah, thank you. And you're right. I mean, kindness goes a long way, and we find our patients with motor neuron disease and their families are wonderful people who've just been dealt a very devastating card, and for us to get involved in their lives and just help them along the way, help them along the pathway, whichever direction they want to take, because not everyone chooses the pathway that others will choose. We'll work with them and make the most of that time that they have.
Okay. And how did you choose this, Matthew?
Yeah, okay. Well, I've worked as a clinician for a number of years as an occupational therapist, and that exposes you to all sorts of groups of people and conditions, of course. So I worked in acute care in hospitals and in rehabilitation centres in the United States with my wife, Nicola, who is also an occupational therapist originally. And then coming back to Australia, I moved into the community-based systems that we have here. So we're lucky that we do invest in some of our community systems in Australia, as well as our hospital system, which is important. But my first love was working with people in their own homes, because the power balance is different.
Yes.
When you're working with someone who's in hospital, you're in charge, if you like.
Yeah.
Whereas you go into someone's home and they're in charge. So you're just suggesting things and trying to make the best of things, but ultimately they're the decision makers. And
this is so good, because when you're sick as it is, you feel so vulnerable. And then when you're in hospital, you feel that much more vulnerable and absolutely helpless.
Yes.
Whereas at home, you don't feel that helpless and vulnerable.
Yes, that's right. It's very disempowering in hospital. And I know that I believe you had COVID earlier or
Yes.
late last year as well yourself. So it would have been a very scary time, I'm sure. And
I was very grateful to be at home.
Yes. Okay. So that was great. That
And I
you
was
were
very
able to stay in
grateful
control.
that my family was with me all the time on Zoom.
Yes. Yes.
So as you said, it's so important for the communication to keep going. I didn't ever feel, I didn't ever feel lost and that helpless because,
Good.
you know, I met them at every meal time.
Yes. Good. Yes. So you were able to, Zoom together.
We Zoomed together, and I had some wonderful, very loving friends who insisted on WhatsApp video calling me every day, even if it was just for 2
Fabulous.
minutes, just to see my face and tell me that they loved me.
Yes.
Makes such a difference, you know.
Yeah. Well, I think that's one of the difficulties with COVID, isn't it? It's a very
Yes.
isolating illness.
Yeah.
Because you have to isolate.
Yes.
Unless your family's all ill with it as well. But that would be very scary for people.
Yes, Matthew. And my doctor kept me in my room for 28 days. She was like
Oh
super
my
strict.
goodness.
And I didn't want to, I didn't want to spread it to anyone in the house. And
Oh, of
so
course
I
not.
listened to her. And as I said, I was lucky that I was given so much love.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
so,
undoubtedly, and that would have helped an awful amount with your recovery, I'm sure.
yes, definitely.
Mm.
Absolutely. So was this decision of yours taken during the pandemic?
Yes, it was. It was a little bit out of my hands in a way to leave government, because the service that I was working for was going through a lot of reform, and in fact, our state government opted to get out of providing a lot of its own in-house disability services, of which our equipment service was one. So I was given the privilege of spending 10 years building that service to the largest of its kind in Australia. And then we spent a number of years deciding what we would do when the reform in disability really were taking place in recent years. And then, unfortunately, I spent the last couple of years closing the service, which was, although sounds hard, it was still a privilege to be entrusted to be able to do that.
Yeah.
And to take, and to make sure that all the people who were reliant on that service, and we were servicing more than 10,000, had an option, had somewhere else to go for a service. So that was a very important thing that we had to make sure that we did properly. And then the staff that maybe didn't have the choices that I did. We needed to support those staff to try and find other opportunities with either new providers or, retirement options for some of them, etc. But I literally did with my closest colleague switch the lights out on the last day together.
That mustn't have been easy.
No, it wasn't, but it was, like I said, it sounds funny saying it was a privilege, but it was, because sometimes in businesses that, in more commercial operations, possibly, people are just cut out of things at a point in time, and that's that.
And that's
whereas
that.
I was, whereas the trust was put in me that I would do things the right way, with a small group of colleagues who were sharing that time with me, and that was a very important thing for us.
Yeah.
And this out of that, a new opportunity has come.
It's come. Yeah. Wow.
And, all in the middle of pandemic. So because equipment services and the type of service that I work in are considered essential services. So for us, we basically, had to keep turning up during the pandemic. There was even the lockdown period meant we were emptying hospitals of patients, so they needed support at home, and that's where we kicked in. And so our services kept running all through the pandemic period.
Thank you. Yeah, we have to thank you and all the people who worked with you.
Yeah, that's right. It was, if you, I mean, you would recall, we'd all recall how scary it was in the early days. You know, you're wondering whether you're going to catch it by just sort of knocking on someone's door. You just didn't know. And if someone had touched something that you then subsequently touched, I mean, it was very unclear, wasn't it?
Very, very unclear. I mean, it's not so super clear now as well, but it's just slightly better.
Yeah.
You know.
Yes, I know. And I know that I really feel for our friends and our family in India and other parts of the world who really have been doing it very tough with COVID. We've been blessed in Australia. I think our government took some very firm early steps that have paid dividends. But the population has also, I guess, supported some of those things that, you know, travel restrictions. You know, who would have thought that Australians couldn't leave Australia for a year, and that's where we're at. 1 year since we've been able to leave our country. Probably because of the problem of coming back.
Yeah, probably the best thing that happened.
Yeah, we were an island, an island state, and they thought, well, look, let's play to our strength, secure our borders, and consequently, the only COVID we have in Australia today are returned travellers or people coming from overseas who are coming in through the COVID hotel isolation system.
Okay.
So there's no community transmission today.
Well, I mean, I think that's a brilliant thing that was done, and it's worked. So wow,
it saved a lot of lives here, but it's an easier thing in a system and a population like ours, of course.
Yes, absolutely. So on another note, completely, what would you say is Matthew's mantra?
Matthew's mantra. Never stop learning, I think, is one of the things that I have always tried to live by. So obviously I went through school, and then I went through university, and then I did a master's program, and then I've always liked to read, and we're surrounded by information and also different ways of learning. You know, I find myself learning off YouTube so much.
Yes.
So many different things. I mean, I feel sort of, we feel embarrassed to say, oh, we look it up on YouTube if we want to learn how to do something, but it's true.
It's true.
So all of us, I'm in my late 50s now, all of us can keep learning our whole life. It's never too late. My father's 88, 89 in another couple of weeks' time. He never used a computer during his entire work life, and he's on his computer every day, keeping in touch with people, trading stocks, and I look at it and I think, wow, that's incredible. He learned something, and so all of us can learn. And my kids, Nicola and I both, I guess, try and show them that working hard, always being prepared to learn from other people, and listening to what people say. Wow. To me that's gold, and has got me where I have in life, just being prepared to listen and learn.
I love that. To you, that's gold, being prepared to listen and learn. And Matthew, what does hope mean to you? What does hope mean for you?
Yeah. Look, hope's a very important word, because in my work at the moment, people who've been diagnosed with motor neuron disease, or Lou Gehrig's disease in America, that's a devastating diagnosis. So hope is one of the very few things they have left. So it might be hope to be able to spend what remaining time they have doing really important things and spending it with really important people in their lives. So I think taking, keeping hold of hope is so important when we're surrounded by a lot of naysayers and negativity sometimes.
Yes.
I love it when you see something hopeful happening and someone standing up for something that's good.
Yeah.
So yeah, hope is a very important thing. We must always have it until our last breath, really.
I agree. Wow. So thank you so much, Matthew. That was really lovely. It's lovely talking to you. It's lovely seeing you after so long.
Yeah, no, it's fabulous.
Best of luck with your job, and may you continue to provide lots of kindness wherever you go.
Nandinii, thank you.
Yeah.
And you're a very kind person as well. And thank you so much for inviting me on Cope with Hope. It's a fabulous thing. I watch many of the interviews you do, and it's always charming the way that you conduct them. So thank you.